We're rolling. We got producer 1 and producer 2 back there rolling. Special day here in the SANDCAST studios, our Bayview studios, because it is Father's Day. Well, the day after Father's Day. So happy belated Father's Day. I got my dad hat on. It says Dad Established 2023. Shout out Cody Mewhirter for the gift. Absolutely love it. And a shout out to all the dads out there, all the people who love their dads. Dads are important figures in the world, and we appreciate them. And a lot of people actually, they've been asking about this picture behind us because it's pretty iconic. So it's the finals from the Manhattan Open of 1976. It was the cover that Kent Steffes and I used for the Kings of Summer. And I have no idea where you get it. This was a gift from Marcio Ciccoli. He had it up in the Pepperdine office. It's up on 6th Street if you're in Hermosa at Granny's Groceries. And Jake Gibb has one, but I have no idea where we got it. And I don't know how you get this photo, but yeah, it's iconic. And I hope that you can get your hands on it because we had a bunch of people say, how can I buy that photo? Don't know. But if you're looking for a Father's Day gift, that would be a fun one to get a father for next year. Of course, how did I spend mine? Down at a Better at Beach clinic with Mark Burek. So glad to be back up here with the producers. We're going to be celebrating with a trip to Yosemite this weekend. So this will be the last road to Paris for a while. I will not be able to recap the NORCECA Continental Cup, Africa, Asia, and what's left, South America. But what this one is a recap of what to me was the most interesting by far. To me, as far as the Continental Cup power rankings go in terms of interest, I went Europe, Asia, NORCECA, South America, Africa, because for NORCECA, it's basically a battle for the men with Sam Shachter, Dan Deering versus Mexico. Anyone else who makes it, I would be shocked. For the women, it's Sophie Bukovic, Heather Bansley versus Atenas Gutierrez of Bro Flores from Mexico, and Alanis Navas and Maria Gonzalez of Puerto Rico. So there's really only 3 teams in contention there. For Asia, it is the Chinese women, Japanese women, New Zealand women. Those are the big 3. For the men, you got the New Zealand men. We just had Sam O'Day and Brad Fuller on the podcast. They'll be dropping on Wednesday, doing a little preview with them of the Asian Continental Cup. That'll drop on Thursday, so be on the look for that. But the New Zealand men, Australian men, very strong. Chinese men are solid. So that one will be interesting. I believe that will be streamed on YouTube at AVC is the channel. And so I won't be recapping that because we'll be in Yosemite next weekend, and then we come back from Yosemite, leave for Montana for the SANDCAST Tour event in Montana, and then as soon as I get from Montana, I will pretty much shower, repack my bags, and then I'm off for Stade. I get back from Stade, and then I'm commentating Vienna. So this is going to be the last road to Paris for a long time until we get to the actual Olympic Games. You can hear producer 2 in the background. It's all right, buddy. Let him know. Let him know that the Olympic Games are coming up. It's exciting. And so this is recapping the European Continental Cup, and a huge congratulations goes out to France's Arnaud, Gauthier, and Théo Rotar, and Julien, Lyneel, and Remi Bassereau, and by extension, Youssef Crew. So this whole Olympic quad, there has just been this sort of back and forth chat between who is going to get the French men's wildcard. Is it going to be the indoor stars with the indoor star attraction in Julien, Lyneel, Remi Bassereau, phenomenal athletes, very talented players, or is it going to go to Arnaud, Gauthier and Youssef Crew, who have been grinding and are results-wise the better beach team? And I think that that's fairly objective, but then you watch Remi and Lyneel, and just the way that they play, it's sort of must-watch television, and I know that they're big stars in France, and so you're going for the star power attraction wild card, or you're going for the guys who have sort of earned it by grinding. Now they don't have to make the decision because they won the Continental Cup, and they did it in such a cool fashion. So Youssef Crew gets injured in Ostrava. He has to pull out. In comes Théo Rotar, the young buck, and I've been really high on Rotar for a long time. I played him in Sofia, Bulgaria, in a 1-star, which has since been renamed a Futures. And at the time, he was very raw with his partner, Arthur Canet. And I lost to him, and I was like, man, we shouldn't have lost to that team. But then I watched them 2 years later, take Anders Mol, Christian Sorum to 3 at European Championships in Vienna, and they were all grown up, and Rotar is all grown up. And I tried to warn you all about him in Guadalajara when I shot that preview with Frito La Machina. Happy Father's Day to you, by the way. That Rotar's he's all grown up. About to play with the young Frenchies, Teo Rotar and Arthur Canet. I played against them in Sofia, Bulgaria a couple years ago, and I was like sort of embarrassed that I lost to them. And now they're so good. Went to 3 with Anders and Christian in the European Championships just last year, and they've grown up big time. It's been really fun watching them blossom, and so we're about to have a little hour-long practice with them. French coach is running it. I just get to be the assistant ball shagger guy and take some notes from professional coaches all around the world, so we'll see how it goes. And Tri Born and I, we've actually been joking that we think that France hasn't yet put together their best team because we think that Gauthier and Rotar is the best team. And then they come out in the Continental Cup. What do? They go 6-0. They take down Lukas Fechter and Sven Winter of Germany, one of the hottest teams in the world right now. They take down Lithuania. They beat Dressler-Waller in the finals. And then in the golden set, boom, they do it again. Beat Dressler-Waller in the golden set for the Olympic bid, 15-10. Absolute clutch performance from Gauthier and Rotar. Lyneel and Bassereau, they did their job as well. They played very well. And so a huge congratulations to France. And that just takes so much stress off the French Federation that they don't have to play favorites. They don't have to pick one team over the other. And now because Lezana Placette and Alexia Richard, they qualified via points, their wild card will go to the number 2 team. I can only assume that that's going to be Aileen Chamreau and Clemence Vieira. And so France will have the full boat. They'll have all 4 teams into the Olympic Games. I would assume that the bid is going to go to Crew and Gauthier when the Olympics comes around, if Crew is healthy. I don't know for sure. Now, if Crew's hurt, I would really have to assume that that's going to go to Teo Rotar because dude just earned it. He goes 6-0 in the Continental Cup when him and Gauthier haven't played together before. That's badass from the young Rotar. So a big, big congratulations to France. And it's good for the sport, too, because you always want your home federation to have 4 competitive home teams. The stands are going to be packed in front of one of the coolest venues you're going to see in the sport right there at the foot of the Eiffel Tower. So massive congratulations to France. They no longer have any weird politicking or favorite picking problems. It's just you got your 4 teams and they're in. Big job, big congratulations, good job for Gauthier, Rotar, Lyneel, and Bassereau. Well done. Now, the men's field was simplified. The women's field just got weirder. So for the Netherlands, you have, and these names, I am so sorry if I butcher these names. I'm trying my best. Wies Bekhuis and Emmy van Driel and Kirsten Broring and Brecht Piersma. So it's Piersma played with Bekhuis. Emmy van Driel, who has been one of the brighter talents coming up for the Dutch women for a long time with her sister Maxime. Her and Kirsten Broring, they played together. And they go through and they win. And so you would think that that's it, right? The Dutch women, they get the Continental Cup bid, just as they did in Tokyo, where Katja Stam and Reisa Schoon, they ended up winning a match the next day to punch their ticket into Tokyo. But it's not that simple. So the Dutch Federation has this really interesting rule in place where if you qualify for the Olympic Games, but you have not finished top 8 in an Elite 16, you cannot go to the Olympic Games. Now, the point, from what I understand, because this rule, to me, it makes no sense. And I hope they waive it because the Dutch women, they earned their spot. The way that the IOC has laid it out, that you can win it via the Olympic trial that is the Continental Cup. But the thinking behind it is that they do not want to send a team that is going to get humiliated in the Olympics. And so you have this standard that you have to meet where even if you qualify, we're not going to send you because we don't want you to just send you to the Olympics and feed you to the lions. We want you to have proven that you can actually compete in the Olympics. Now, they're not the only federation to do this. Other federations have similar rules that apply. For New Zealand, for instance, I believe you have to beat a team. Someone in your federation has to beat a team that is in the top 16 in the world. Otherwise, they're not going to the Olympics. Now, New Zealand just had a team that beat Isaac Carricker and Mark Nicolaitis of Australia, who just won their pool and took a fifth at the Espino Elite 16. So there's sort of a transitive property thing going on there. But Ben and Brad, they elaborate on that a little bit more in Wednesday's episode. And so that's the thinking behind what on the surface is a bizarre rule. And even when you understand the thinking behind it, it's still a pretty bizarre rule. And I'll give a credit to the girls. So the next day, a newspaper in the Netherlands, they run a story explaining what's going on. And it says, and I quote, "The surprising triumph earned the Netherlands a second ticket to the Olympics. Based on their world ranking, Katjestam and Rijsselskoen are already sure of participation. In Paris, the beach volleyball tournament will almost certainly take place under the Eiffel Tower. A great prospect, Piersma realizes. But, I quote, I don't dare think about anything yet. First, I'm going to assume the worst, that I'm not going. Because the second ticket does not guarantee participation. That has to do with the conditions that NOC-NSF has attached to the trip to Paris. The sports umbrella also requires a ranking among the best 8 in a so-called Elite 16. None of us manage that, Piersma said. There won't be that possibility in the near future either." However, Piersma and Bekhuis, they won gold at a Futures in Spies, Switzerland, and then they won silver at a Futures in Bulgaria, where they beat Carly Khan and Maddie Anderson. They beat Kennedy Coakley and Brooke Sweat. Not huge wins by any means, but it's hard to win a tournament. They won a tournament, they got silver in another, and then they won the Continental Cup and had to beat a very good Czech federation to get there. And there's about 4 pretty strong federations on the women's side, 5-ish when you extend it to Poland. And so you have the Netherlands, you have Italy, you have the Czech Republic, you have Poland, and you have Austria. Austria ends up losing to the Netherlands in the semifinals in a golden set that went 19-17. Very competitive. The Czech Republic beat Italy, and then they beat the Czech Republic. Both of them went to 3 sets. You got Bara Hermanova and Marisa Aristoklova. Bara has already been to several Olympic Games. She's obviously an elite talent. So even though they didn't get top 8 in Elite 16, they've still proven that they can beat an elite team. And so this week, Volleyball Federation Novobo will consult with NOC-NSF to plead for sending a second women's beach volleyball duo. It must be made clear that this pair can also finish amongst the best 8 in Paris. Should that request be granted, and now here it gets even hairier, it will be up to the national coach to determine which 2 players that will be. And I'm back to quoting Piersma. The 4 of us now realize that very well. It is quite a strange feeling. First, you take this very last chance for the Olympic ticket, and then you look at each other with the idea, only 2 of us get to go, if we get permission. Suddenly, you are also a bit of rivals. We said to each other as a quartet that we are now going to enjoy this victory first. It's bizarre. It was, of course, also for those other countries their last chance. Many of the teams would have been definitely sure of the games that they had won. We knew beforehand that this was not the case for us. We simply agreed to do our best and wait and see what would happen. We just came by, as it were, and then we grabbed the cup here. So, 1, awesome maturity and poise from Brecht Piersma. I mean, hats off literally to you. Incredible responses from her in a really weird situation. I hope that the Netherlands just does the right thing and that they understand that they have a very competitive team, no matter the 4 players, no matter the 2 they pick out of the 4, and they send to Paris if they choose to send them to Paris. Now, in the case that the Netherlands upholds the rule and says, we're not going to send that team to Paris because they didn't do what was laid out in our rules, it will then, as I understand it, trickle down to Bara Hermanova and Marisa Aristoklova of the Czech Republic, or it would just go to the Czech Republic. I would assume that they would send Bara and Stoklova instead of their 2s team. That would be what I'd assume. But again, it's not safe to assume anything. But I just wanted to run this road to Paris to give you guys a briefer on what is going on there, because even though it sounds simple enough, you win the Continental Cup, you send a team, that's it. Of course, this is beach volleyball. What would beach volleyball be if we didn't have random, obscure rules to make it more difficult to follow? So a congratulations to France, a congratulations to the Netherlands. And so next up for this road to Paris, I will shoot one probably when I get back from Vienna. I will be on the mic in Stade. I will be on the mic in Vienna. And I'm hoping to team up with Brian Cook, actually, to do a little preview, putting odds down on all the medal favorites based on his true volley system. It'll be something of that. And then I'll probably just put a community post up after the remaining 4 Continental Cups and just let you know who won those bids. I would have to give a huge favorite to Sam and Dan of Canada for winning the men's bid. Big favorite to Sophie and Heather for the women's bid. So we'll see how that plays out. Thanks, as always, for tuning in to The Road to Paris. And thank you to my producers for making me a father. Best honor I have ever held. And so we will see you guys. I'll see you on Wednesday with the New Zealand boys. And I will see you when I get back from Vienna in quite a bit. Shoots.